Oh boy, you guys gotta watch this one. We're gonna go into the deep dive of why so many influencers and normal people are quitting carnivore diets and of course the ketogenic diet. They quit that a long time ago. Now there are some diehards that still stick with it like myself, but let's go into the deep dive of why people are quitting carnivore diets. This video is very important to watch.
Positives, the negatives, and you can take this information, take it as you will, come to your own conclusion on whether you want to keep doing it, if it's worth it to you, if you're seeing the results you want from it, and all that good stuff. So without further ado, man, I don't want to talk too much right now. Let's get into this video. You guys ready?
Welcome everyone to my humble channel. Now, people have been sending me these why I quit carnivore videos nonstop, especially on my Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic, which I'm going to change the name to Stephanie, just Stephanie, or Stephanie person. None of these stupid ketogenic names, because now I cover all three diets. Y'all are having some problems. As you know, I do a ton of videos breaking down and explaining it, but not from the influencer to average person side, in their words.
But after a while, man, I wanted something else. And after that first 30 days, I started doing cheat meals again on the weekends. So every Saturday I would have a cheat meal. I would throw carbs back in. I might have a little dessert. I might have some pizza. I might have whatever. And to be completely honest, man, that's kind of what set me over the edge. Was I was allowing carbs back in, and it reminded me of how freaking much I love food and how much I don't want to take entire swaths of things I enjoy and just eliminate them from my life.
Today I'm going to detail those and why I no longer follow the carnivore diet.
The more I think about it, the more I think that the carnivore diet is like a cult.
But when I look back at when I was doing keto for about a decade, even the times when I was very, very strict, there are some things that I would definitely do differently now, having a broader amount of knowledge.
The end of that story, or the next chapter of the story, was about 2 years into the carnivore diet. I started noticing persistence of unpleasant symptoms.
So, who knows? I don't know. And I'm not saying that carnivore did this, but I'm saying that I've been on carnivore. I'm a pretty darn healthy person. I work out like 5 mornings a week. I'm pretty healthy, have a decent weight. I don't smoke. I don't drink. Haven't had a drink in 23 years. I don't do drugs. There should be no reason, I would think, that I would have a stroke.
I have a
Okay, so this woman had a stroke, as you can see, the picture on the left. And as soon as I saw this video, I was like, girl, that's because you got the Sharada Ronabona thing. You got schmaxed up. That's what I believed. She got schmaxed. Do the math. I don't think it's because of the carnivore diet. So this kind of weird, seems like a really nice lady, but yeah.
viral video right now with 150,000 views so far on the stroke that I had 2 weeks ago. In fact, it is exactly 2 weeks ago today. It's new.
And why are people having strokes all the time? It's not the carnivore diet. No.
Today on a Tuesday. I had the stroke 2 weeks ago at 6 a.m. and actually it worked out very well. I got to the hospital quickly. They were able to give me a clot busting drug. I had a stroke up in the right quadrant of my brain. And basically after taking that clot buster, everything kind of reversed within a few hours. I was in ICU for 2.5 days, in the hospital for 1 more day, but I am doing very well.
It's time to question your nutritional assumptions, and there are other ways of thinking about diets. So what happened with me? After about a year to a year and a half of a carnivore diet.
We love Paul. He's a very intelligent guy. And I'm glad he's being more transparent. But this dude, you wrote a book. You wrote a book, and when you wrote that book, everybody knew you shouldn't be writing a book. He didn't have enough experience because, I mean, these doctors, they don't have any nutritional background. So he shouldn't have been writing a book. But, you know, kudos to him to get it out, but I take it back because you shouldn't have written a book because people followed that book and it had some issues.
I began to notice issues, probably in my case, arising due to electrolyte insufficiency, connected with consistently very low insulin because I wasn't really eating any carbohydrates and the protein.
Okay, first of all, you don't develop low insulin. Listen, my people, you do not develop low insulin just because you do carnivore or keto. This is a person who cannot regulate their insulin, their hormones. He trains really, really hard. I have no idea how his sleep is. I don't know if he has any inflammatory disorders, but let's continue.
I was eating probably wasn't as insulinogenic as it needed to be. This led to muscle cramps. I had problems with sleep. I had heart palpitations, fluttering of my heart.
That is his heart palpitations, his potassium deficiency. Probably didn't drink enough water, training too hard. And there are answers to all of this.
I had something called hypnagogic jerks where I would fall asleep, but jerk myself awake like I was falling multiple times. That was very stressful and very traumatic. It led to very poor sleep for a little while.
Cortisol.
That eventually was possibly remedied by magnesium IVs, but the reason I got low in
magnesium, okay, if he had magnesium IVs and he was so low on magnesium, was he trying to do like the snake diet where you're only eating salt and meat? Well, I don't know. But if his magnesium was so low, perhaps he's malabsorptive before he ever did carnivore. Perhaps his body is going through too much stress with this hardcore exercise and the stress of trying to grow a business. And then he became malabsorptive. And then he's not holding on to magnesium. And then maybe he didn't take supplemental magnesium. Maybe he didn't absorb it. But it's not the diet. It's how he applied it. And then he had to add fruit. But, okay.
Magnesium in the first place was probably due to a ketogenic diet. In my case, I had declining.
You don't have magnesium deficiency because you do a ketogenic diet. You have a magnesium deficiency because you have a weak gut wall. You're not absorbing it. It's a big difference. And then you're not taking enough magnesium on top of that. Really? Did I not mute my phone? All right, let's mute this stuff right now before we continue. I'm so professional.
Lab values that were important to me, specifically lower total testosterone, higher sex hormone binding globulin, which leads to a lower free testosterone, a lower free testosterone index. And I had the sense that I was cold or a little bit cold all the time.
That's his thyroid. Low testosterone, cold all the time, can't hold on to magnesium. His immune system is taking a huge dive based on his description, in my opinion. It wasn't the diet. It was doing the diet on top of an already volcano that was about to erupt, in my opinion.
And when I looked at my labs, my thyroid levels, specifically my total T3 and free T3, were not ideal. In my case,
first of all, thyroid testing is very subjective. Your body can make thyroid hormone and it could tick normal and then you're not absorbing it. Like it's hard to measure the thyroid uptake into the cells. So that's why I don't like thyroid testing. I look at symptomology. But if you have subclinical or if you do have numbers that are too high or too low, then there's definitely something wrong. Yeah.
After a year to a year and a half on a ketogenic carnivore diet of only meat, organs, and fat and salt, I began to have some issues and I started to think about what I could do to remedy those issues.
Okay, he said meat only, fat, and salt. No electrolytes. So we can see what's going on. And he wasn't in ketosis, and you know his protein was too high. That's why we got to be careful this guy is a guru. And this guy's a doctor. People are like, oh my God, what degree do you have? I'm like, this guy degree and fracked his body up, dare I say. But this guy's going to talk about your teeth.
A carnivore diet and you start getting a buildup of dental calculus, or also known as tartar. It's that stuff when you go to the dentist, they have to use a tool like this and scrape on your teeth to scrape it off. That's dental calculus. And when some people start a carnivore diet, they see an increase in dental calculus.
Now, this happened to me. This is plaquing. This is like crustaceans on the inside of your mouth. Yeah, let's listen to some more.
And what I want to talk about is this problematic? Is it a sign that something bad is going on?
Yes.
And what could be causing it and what to do about it? And I think where we have to start with here in this story is, what is dental calculus? And so we have what is known as an oral microbiome. Basically, all these bacteria, 700-800 strands of unique bacteria in our mouth that play a very important role in oral health. Everything from protecting teeth from decay to producing nitric oxide.
2 weeks in, I quit my carnivore diet.
I'm sorry, guys. I put this together last night. I was so tired, so it's just all smashed together. And let's continue.
Trying to eat nothing but meat and eggs and cheese for a month.
In the last 15 days, I have lost 7.5 kilos. For context, that is about the weight of our dog, George. And I'm doing it for 3 reasons. Firstly, I'd say it's probably about 80% of it is narcissism. I'd say about 30% of it is for content, and probably about 10% of it is due to the fact people say it makes you better at maths.
I hated eating mince all the time. I was just desperate to have veg and anything other.
That's what people think the carnivore diet is. A bunch of freaking meat. No wonder people are having gout and high B12 and high iron and electrolyte issues and thyroid issues and cold and this and that. Because they're sitting there looking at plates of meat. Now I know this steak and butter gal chick, she's just like, and some of these gurus are like showing big plates of food, but they're not talking about what if you don't have enough stomach acid? And what if you already have high iron and B12? What if you have leaky gut? What if you have a histamine intolerance because the meat is dry hung and you're still eating all that meat? And then you develop a low GFR. Very interesting.
Other than meat and cheese and eggs.
Not gone to the bathroom in about 10 days. Not properly anyway. I've not been able to. There's that. Apparently I've got to eat more fat, but I've tried that and I've literally been drinking cream.
Okay, let me tell you something. This guy is not pooping because he is dehydrated and he dropped out the fiber, which was pulling water into his colon. Then he wasn't drinking enough water and balancing his minerals, so he got dried up because the body will pull from the colon to try to keep the cells to communicate. And this is not talked about with these carnivore gurus. Hello. If you're constipated, it's not this bad.
Cream, without cream, and eating just as much fat as I can get my hand on. And it's just nothing's moving.
Yeah.
And I had to go to the chemist and get some stuff to help it, But
there's no water up in there, dude. The fat ain't gonna help you.
But then I just felt bad that I was just constantly just having laxatives to poo, and then so I ended up getting.
He was having accidents with poo, which means he had diarrhea because his gallbladder's junked up. Another thing no one talks about. Look at all these people quitting carnivore because they don't understand what's happening to their body. You can't make this stuff up in a handbag. Watery poo.
A home enema kit.
This will get things moving. It's a tube that goes up my bum and flushes everything out. I'm not going to go into it because you're probably being sick right now.
And then there was this moment when I was sort of lying on the floor in the bathroom with this tube up my bum with a hot water bottle dispensing warm water into my arse. And I was just lying there thinking, what am I doing?
Exactly.
You're eating so much beef that you're having to lie on the floor in the bathroom with a tube up your bum. Don't do this, Steph.
I'm so sick and tired of being absolutely full of shit. I feel like Anthony Fauci.
So I quit. After that, I couldn't do it anymore. And besides, I started to look quite drawn. I was looking a lot older because my face sort of...
So why was he looking older? Because he was never in ketosis. His body needed energy, needed to balance his energy. So his body went to gluconeogenesis. Unfortunately, too much cortisol and the breakdown of amino acids, which started aging him because the body's taken from the collagen under the skin to balance blood sugar, give him energy, because he was never in ketosis, because you saw that meat.
Shrank a little bit. And yeah, I had a six-pack for the first time in my life, but it came at a heavy price.
Apparently, smelling of beef isn't an aphrodisiac. It's quite off-putting when beef is just oozing out of you and the smell of beef is just...
If you smell like beef, your kidneys, you're going to have a low GFR. Okay, this is the glomerular filtration rate. This is the rate at which your kidneys will filtrate out the fluid, and blood rather, or fluid. And your body, when you take in all that protein, you're having protein waste products, purines and uric acid and things like that. If you have leaky gut and you're not absorbing that protein and urine's foamy, you're going to stink like ammonia. That's what he's talking about right now.
It doesn't get girls in the mood. So,
No,
yeah, it's destroyed my sex life. That's another bad point. So there's no sex. There's the constipation.
Yes, your body is stunning. I mean, she didn't say, yes, your body's stunning, but I could see it in her eyes. She didn't have anything in her eyes other than disdain, if I'm being honest. She didn't like it. I thought she'd be, this is in my head, I thought she'd be like, Steph, you are looking in great shape right now. Let's go. But no, it was the opposite. It was like, don't come near me. You smell of beef and you look like you're ill.
But the reason why I think I'm going to start introducing more vegetables into my diet now and continue the rest of the month half carnivore and half veggie eater is because I've got this pain in my diaphragm on the left-hand side. And I think that might...
Okay, so if he's got a pain on his left side, it could be his stomach, or he might have some type of, you should not be having pain on your left side. But it sounds like, listen to me, people, he's compacted with crap. This is things like, was it Bella from, Steak and Butter Gal sitting there saying, if you haven't pooped, that it's normal and how flat our stomach is. Come on now, people. Be very careful for some of this advice. If you're not crapping, you can develop an impaction, and this can get infected, and that's on the left side. And this is what he's talking about. Oops. Hello.
Might be my colon, and I don't want to risk. Oh, if I'm in pain, I really shouldn't be doing this. So I'm thinking, as great as I feel, and as good as it is to like not have sugar and no inflammation, I just feel like a pain there is probably not a good sign.
I just couldn't do it. So I quit.
So I'm going to start eating some steamed veg.
People are going to think that I've lost a bit of my edge, though. Now I've got an allotment. They'll be like, oh, he's just like a man in his 40s. He's just like tending to an allotment now.
I quit the carnivore diet. Yes, I know this is probably not news to a lot of you, but for people who haven't been following for the past little while, I have stopped doing the carnivore diet. And I get tons and tons of questions every single day on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all these different things asking me why I quit the carnivore diet. So today's video, we're going to break down exactly
another plate of too much meat. This is what you think the diet is. Nowhere as a hunter-gatherer would you be eating that much meat every single day. This puts a stress on your kidneys, your digestive tract, okay? Because we are not hunter-gatherers. We have jacked up, leaky gut, low GFRs. We're constantly dehydrated, lack of the right minerals. And then you do a carnivore diet and you're peeing all the time and you're losing more minerals and you're not in ketosis. No wonder these people are quitting. This guy's young.
Why I did quit the carnivore diet, my thoughts around the carnivore diet now, and how this recent shift has affected my training, my nutrition, my sleep, and my overall lifestyle. So before we get into why I quit the carnivore diet, I think we could go back to why I started doing a low carbohydrate diet in the first place. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been interested in how nutrition would affect my training performance, and I've always been trying to sort of protein would benefit my performance, which again was supported by carnivore with the organ meats, the red meats, and all the healthy fats associated with it. So how did I feel when I was doing keto or even carnivore? I honestly felt great. My skin was clear, my digestion was good, my training performance was improving week over week, and pretty much everything was on track. For the first 5 years or so, I made great progress. Sure, you could see over time that I built some muscle and my strength improved pretty significantly. And with all of those improvements that I was making in the gym and out of the gym, I was also able to maintain a really lean physique without even really needing to try that hard. And before we go further, there's nothing that I have against these particular ways of eating a low carb or carnivore approach. It just wasn't fitting to my particular goals at the time. So let's talk about sleep. I've made videos in the past talking about how my sleep was affected from chronic dieting, how my sleep quality deteriorated over.
He looks hella bloated. His jaw was sticking out more. This is what carbs do, because the carbs make you hold on to water. For every gram of carbs that you eat, your body holds on to up to 4 grams of water. So he's looking hella bloated.
Over the time of being in a caloric deficit or an energy deficit and just being at such a low body fat percentage. The truth is, I didn't sleep well when I was so lean because my calories were too
Looks like a different person.
low in general. I use a sleep ring to track pretty much every single night's sleep. And although this isn't 100% accurate, like any device isn't really 100% accurate, I found that through different stages of my dieting where I've adjusted my nutrition, the main difference between sleep quality was the actual amount of food that I was consuming overall.
Again,
after adding carbs back.
Another person eating too much protein, which is impossible to keto adapt. And like he said, he didn't lose strength, but he probably went through an absolute barrage, the babas of horrible symptoms.
Into your diet, a lot of people find that their sleep improves a ton, but that really just wasn't the case for me. When I increased my calories and was still on a carnivore-esque diet and came out of that extreme chronic dieting state, I found that my sleep improved from 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep consistently to around 7 or 8 hours of sleep with great quality, not waking up interrupted or anything like that. So I think that the negative sleep quality wasn't necessarily a side effect of the carnivore diet or the low carb approach, but instead a side effect of just being excessively lean for so long.
No.
So now let's talk calories. And
now he was waking up because his blood sugar started to bounce, right? Probably developed severe hypoglycemia. That will interrupt your sleep because your blood sugar gets too low and the body will slam it up. You'll have an insulin spike or cortisol rush and you'll wake up. So that's not just because you were low body fat. No.
Weight gain. This is the number one factor why I stopped doing the carnivore diet. I simply couldn't eat enough fats and proteins to get myself out of that chronically dieted state where eating so much protein was too satiating for me, and adding in more fats into my diet would have caused digestive issues, especially if it was in the...
If he's having digestive issues and he's looking all of about 19 years old, these are even younger and younger men are having gallbladder issues, my people. He's describing the gallbladder issues perfectly.
Form of rendered fats like tallow or anything of that sort.
Rendered.
At the end of my carnivore diet, I got up to around 220 to 240 grams of protein per day, and at a 1-to-1 ratio, so it's 240 grams of protein.
There's no 1-to-1. If you're eating all of that protein on top of all that fat, there's no friggin' way you're going to feel okay. No, you don't do 240 of fat and 240 of protein. 240 grams of protein. This dude probably is 5'5". He should be eating like 85, 95 grams of protein, trying to regulate his insulin instead of shoving all that meat down his gut.
240 grams of fat, and I really couldn't add any more real foods into my diet to assist me in getting to that caloric range that I need to actually be in to gain weight.
Calories.
As an athlete or a human, I guess, you essentially have two energy sources, either carbs or fats. And being that I was doing carnivore diet, I didn't have the option of increasing my carbohydrates. So the only energy source that I could increase was fats, and protein is not really an effective energy source.
And fat made him feel sick.
The issue that I had was that as soon as I increased my fats past a certain point of like 220 to 240 grams per day, which is already a ton for my body weight, I was having digestive issues, and it was pretty uncomfortable to live that way.
I've tried.
That was his gallbladder. Okay, here's the next person. She doesn't really go into detail, but she's just another person who did a video that I saw, the Why I Quit Carnivore.
So many things to help my health. Diets, supplements, medications, lifestyle changes, exercise routines, sleep changes. Like, I feel like I've tried it all. And a few months ago, I went to the extreme of going on the carnivore diet, more specifically the lion diet, where I was just basically eating beef.
Look at this.
Salt and water.
Look at that.
And I wasn't perfect.
Beef, salt, and water. And there are people doing this. Like, y'all, stop and use your critical thinking. You don't eat beef, salt, and water. That'll jack you up. Cute girl, by the way.
Perfect, but I was like 90% on this carnivore lion diet. The carnivore diet in general is an animal-based diet. The lion diet is just beef, salt, and water. So I did mostly that with a little bit of almond butter, a little bit of cheese. Definitely.
She's like, I'm more extreme. I'm on the snake diet, but I'm eating, what'd she say, cheese and other garbage? No.
Wasn't 100%, but I was pretty much just eating that for many months.
Almond something.
And
butter.
Now I don't know what to do. I keep changing my mind. I can't decide what to do
Poor girl.
with my diet and where to go from here.
I know those videos kind of take us down the weeds, but the moral of the story is that we're all different. Some people do great on one diet, and some people do great on a completely different diet for different reasons. You have to consider epigenetics. Like, were you breastfed, vaginally birthed? Were you exposed to any pharmacological interventions? Did you play as a kid? Did you get vitamin D? Did you eat healthy? Because it doesn't matter what your friend or your friend's husband or their daughter, it doesn't matter how their body responded to any diet. Most people can't recognize when they're having failing health because there's so many benefits. They don't understand things like a heart palpitation or facial twitch or muscle cramp or a little bit of diarrhea. In their minds, it's nothing too crazy, so they keep promoting carnivore diets. Carnivore is great for the short term. For the long term, you run into problems. And that's why these people in this video that I just played are showing you, woo, carnivore. Oh, it made me feel like crap. If you look at the comment section of my videos, you'll see real people telling you that they didn't do so well. Some do horribly on doing a strict carnivore diet for those reasons of thyroid, and they can't get into ketosis, and they have high B12 and high iron and develop hemochromatosis and all kind of weird stuff. Gout, and the list goes on. Poor sleep, hair falls out, greasy stool, floating stool, pale stool, gallbladder can't handle it, don't recognize that they have a gallbladder issue. And some people do really great for the short term to take down their inflammation before things rebound. But don't look at the carnivore diet from this very sort of like zealot cult-like position, because that's going to get you into trouble. You can't go by the one person who says, oh, I did wonderful on it, because most likely your body is a lot different from your body. If you guys want to learn more, go to stephanieperson.com. I'm going to do more videos, more interviews with different perspectives and not just very dogmatic. If you're not pooping, if you have diet like Paul Saladino, he had electrolyte issues, he had testosterone issues, he had, I forgot this syndrome, his jerkiness thing when he's falling asleep. This young cat who had issues with his gallbladder but didn't recognize that it was his gallbladder. This girl's flipping back and forth. This woman had a stroke, but I think it's from the schmaxine or sclaxine. That's what I think it was from. But I digress. Comment below. What are your thoughts? Share this content, because that's how people find me. My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. Facebook fan page, Stephanie the Business Person. If you need to book a consultation, go to stephanieperson.com to talk to me directly. And I run a course where I cover all 3 diets, because, y'all ain't the same. And I'm out. Peace, because it's a little cold in here. Energy.